Test, 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 test. Mm. Is this working? Oh my god, dude. Okay, 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 okay. Things are fine. I'll improve this allow. So we're on our new computer right now, and I haven't really did a test stream, so there are some issues here that I'm trying to sort out, primarily with the encoding. Apparently, is being a little bit of a wrong, but it seems to have been resolved. By by virtue of the fact that we are online. I think we are streaming. God, give me the chat. Is this working? Okay, so Twitch chat is working. I just didn't turn on my Twitch stream yet. Actually, how did I do that again? Oh, you know what? I think hello G-Talk. I think Twitch will not be getting streams today. I kind of forgot. There are some plugins I have to install for OBS. Yeah, I kind of forgot about that. And then now currently without it, it's impossible to whatchamacallit, to start up Twitch site because I don't have the button. I literally do not have the button to start it. So it is what it is. It's fine. Okay, let me just get myself situated here. Check my volumes. Volumes look fine. Everything else I think should be fine. So Discord system is muted, desktop is muted. It's just this and that. I realized that, okay, so I think it might be possible for me to stream one music, like have one stream for music. How do I should I say? I can listen to something that's different from what's being played on stream. I think that should be doable. I just need to figure out how to do it. Because there should be a way to just pipe audio data into a separate channel and then have that go straight into OBS instead of having me listen to it. And then I can listen to my own thing. That'd be great. I can listen to copyright stuff and we will never get copyright warnings ever again. But it will make the streams kind of boring. 3 hours of like the same 2-minute thing being repeated, perhaps. We can just use Genshin forever. But anyways, I'll look into that. Let me write this down. I also upgraded. Okay, yeah, there's a lot of news here. Not necessarily very big news, perhaps, but I have finally upgraded my Eclipse Studio to 4.0. So if I look at my Eclipse Studio version here, it's version 4.03 apparently, but it doesn't say anymore, I guess. Maybe it's in here. Yeah, 4.03. So it's a 2025 April 11th build, I guess. And this is the perpetual license. So, once again, I don't think we'll be getting any sort of new updates in that regard. But it's fine. We don't really need new updates anyway. We haven't really needed it at all. To be fair, I don't really know what's in the new ones. So maybe we could have used some changes. I just don't know about it. That is that. Right, anyways, what was I saying? Right, so OBS. Cool. So that's one thing, right? So of all the to-do listing items here, how delayed? I wonder how delayed this is. The settings I ported over, so it should not be too much. Yeah. Hello, the virus, by the way. So we're on our new computer. So this is the only thing on the to-do list that was done. Actually, it's a good thing that you're here, the virus, because I think you're the most interested with regards to sort of the process on this, the purple color stuff, which is the setting of direction and stuff like that. Unfortunately, I haven't quite gotten to it yet. The window setup took a bit longer than expected. There was a lot more stuff that had to be turned off, and you have to do each one manually because it's, you know, Windows don't want you to turn it off. So setup took a bit longer. Carrying data over took a bit longer. Primarily setting up, so like if you look at all of this stuff, oh, you guys can see it. But if you just imagine like this control bar for Clip Studio, right, where all the brushes and everything are set up, this information here, it took me a while to figure out where the hell it was. So I can just copy and paste the files over. Same thing with OBS. But the good thing is that both of them, you copy and paste it, it just works, which is great. So unfortunately, I don't quite have a clear direction just yet. We don't have like a solid set of artists to sort of go after at this point. However, what I did do is sort of decide on this idea of a website. So especially with today's news with regards to Discord requiring people's faces now in order for everything to be unlocked. I don't know exactly what will be locked, right? I do see DTB saying that that's just already how it is down in Australia. So perhaps it's not going to be that restricted. It's probably just going to be the not safe for work stuff that's going to get hit, which I guess is fine one way or like for me. Doesn't really matter too much. But yeah, the goal of the website is not just necessarily to present my stuff in a sort of more cohesive, comprehensive manner, but also to serve as another sort of backup way of communication, I think. Because if Discord goes down, if YouTube goes down, these things that are hosted by other people, at least we will still have the last thing, which is my website, which I can try to make sure that it never goes down as much as we can. I can manage that. We can maybe have our own forums, we can maybe have our own chats that's on our own website, which would then sort of decouple a little bit our, like, you know, be a little bit less reliant on solutions out there. Actually, that reminds me, is my bot still up? The last reported date is February 9th, 8:55 p.m. Oh, look at that. It's still going strong. Pretty cool. But so there is that, but like, so the website has a couple of aspects to it, and I've basically been spending quite a few hours, I think, just talking it out with ChatGPT to try to figure out a sort of good way of balancing between essentially how the website is going to present ideas, I think. And this is less of sort of an artistic thing and more of sort of a technical thing, because the idea is not about necessarily how to design the website or how to organize, well, to some extent how to organize the website, but rather how the website should work in relation to how I work, right? So I think a naive approach. So once again, right, the whole idea of the website is twofold. First thing is to serve as a blog and a secondary way of communication between me and everyone else. The other thing is to sort of present this world that I want to create, right? And this world that I want to create will be created, I'll have to tackle many different forms of media that would include stuff like, for example, text, right? Documentation, talking about stuff, talking about writing story, that kind of stuff. There is also the 2D aspect of it. We have illustrations, animations, maybe hand-drawn, maybe live 2D, character design, environment design, manga, perhaps short mangas, 3D models of interesting things that might be useful to sort of helping flesh out the world. And also maybe music, and also maybe interactive elements. The whole idea of music isn't necessarily that I will have to compose everything, but to some extent, like, a lot of the stuff that I used to listen to inspires me, and I want to just have a way where both music and art can be presented at the same time. Because on all image browsing websites, on all those art stuff like Pixiv, DeviantArt, Twitter, that kind of stuff, music isn't inherently a part of the experience, right? You kind of have to get people to just, hey, listen to this, go to this link and listen to this music and look at this art. But what if I want to sort of sync it up, right? Then it becomes more of like a video thing. But then I don't really want to be making videos per se. Videos kind of lock you in a little bit, like to sort of a fixed experience, which can be good, right? If that's what I want. But if, let's say, imagine you have a couple of different separate illustrations, but they're all inspired by the same piece of music. Now, if you give the person, I'll just say this, if this series of illustrations are sequential, like a manga, then it will kind of make sense that you want to tie down the sort of experience and get people to experience a specific frame of this sequence for a specific part of the music, right? Then you can kind of drive home the experience. But what if these pieces are not necessarily sequential in like a story way, right? They could just be, let's say, a singular environment where you have multiple different angles being presented, right? Just imagine, let's say you have a fountain, like Fontaine's fountain, like in front of the train station. What if there are multiple groups of people standing around the fountain? They're not necessarily related. The stories are not necessarily intertwined, but they're in the same space, and the same space has a similar mood across all of these ideas, and they're just inspired by the same piece of music. So if that's the case, then you can kind of see that maybe you want to give the user just a little bit more autonomy in terms of how they want to experience it. So all of these things basically point to the fact that website is probably the best and easiest way to do it. Also, we can do interactive elements like mini games and stuff. Like you can do some coding as well. That kind of stuff, right? So the website needs to sort of be able to support stuff like this. And I think like a naive approach is to just have like some kind of a blog where you can have stuff that's just sent out there. And I think most likely it is kind of how it would kind of look like. But then there was a lot of discussion around the idea of the process of sort of documenting, the process of sort of presenting must work in tandem with the way that I work for these pieces, which I haven't really done that many on, right? But because the way that I work will be a lot more intuitive and based off of inspirations and a lot less sort of stable, the website's main idea will probably be to present these sort of disjointed pieces of information and ideas and content somehow, but still have some structure behind the scenes that allows the user to sort of look at information in a more consolidated manner. And so the idea would be something like, if let's say I'm inspired by a piece of music and I have an idea, I want to draw this idea, I would draw it, maybe I'll animate it with Live 2D, add some effects in there, and then I'll just kind of let it sit, make sure that it's something that I want to present in the way that I want to present it. Then I can just present this as a whole on the website as like a separate sort of memory fragment kind of thing. And it kind of fits the in-world lore where we're kind of looking for sort of who Ria is in a sense, right? So we are kind of discovering this character together. So these are the pieces of memory fragments that will be relevant. I don't want to play too much weight on the system, so we'll see how it goes. Right? Maybe some stuff that's presented on the website would not necessarily be canon, but either way, it will be separate pieces of fragmented information. And then as these pieces are completed on stream or not on stream and presented on the website, certain information from those pieces can then be extracted. For example, who are the characters involved, right? What does this scene tell us more about this character? Or like what aspect of this character are we learning about now? And what is this environment? Where is this in the entire sort of world building sequence? And all of these things can be documented in two other separate pages, one for characters and then one for the world / the different areas of the world. And then that's basically kind of it, I think, for the website in terms of what the website will kind of look like. I think like the discussion was pretty helpful for me because I never really fully got what is it that I wanted to create, right? Because going back to the original point of wanting to create a world, it is a little bit too vague and it touches on way too many things. But with respect to stuff that I am working on right now, I would say, because currently we're working primarily on illustration, not manga, but more illustration side. So I'm trying to imagine like what it might look like, say if I want to have a piece of art be presented along with a piece of music. Music is inherently kind of emotion, as I always say, which means that like if the art is just outright static, it's not necessarily very good. So I then envision like if you imagine like all of those Live 2D art for like Arknights and stuff, where you have the character basically just standing around, but you have some amount of Live 2D going on for the background, going on for the environment, that sort of puts the character a little bit more into the scene, right? Just like how lighting on the character puts them in the scene. If their hair is blowing in the wind when they're standing on the hilltop, they're even more in the scene. So then the idea came to me that why don't I have sort of multiple illustrations where they have like sort of minimal amount of Live 2D in them, just the emotion to fit the music. And then this kind of also lines up with how I sort of enjoy the content too. Because I will listen to music, I will look at a static image, and then you just kind of see stuff play out in your head, right? So that could be an interesting direction to work towards. currently the website probably wouldn't be coming online for a long time because there are two issues here that needs to be sorted out. Well, actually, there's probably three. One is the technical related stuff, right? How to do the coding, how to set up the website, the CDN, and stuff like that. Those things would be quite a bit of work, especially if you're talking about trying to have a secondary means of communication. Then your infrastructure would have to be a lot more than just presenting content. But then the other two bigger issues is one of them is that I don't know what the design of the website and stuff would be like. There's an element of sort of, if you're visiting this website, and this website is kind of like your first look into the sort of world that I want to build, then inherently it should carry some design elements from that world. It's like if you play Arknights and Phil and you look at the menus, they kind of inherently have the sort of Arknights design. And I think we do kind of need something like that to be a little bit more consistent. But of course, this is going to take a while to figure out because I have no idea what I want right now. The other thing is that right now I only have like a rough idea of what the presentation of content will look like on the website. So until we've created enough content for me to start seeing if there's any specific patterns or if you're working towards a different direction, I cannot justify spending a bunch of time making the website just yet. So all that's being said is that this is going to take a while. We might have something on the interim where it's just kind of like a place for things to be presented, and it is less of whether things are canon or not, and more of just a place for me to host art, that kind of stuff. Host art, host some documents, host some blog posts, host some reviews, and sort of my thoughts on some of the stuff. I can just write things out, and I don't have to worry that it will be lost because it's consolidated in one place, right? Or rather, I guess I should say consolidated in one place in a more organized fashion, because I do have it all in one folder right now. That doesn't really help. But yeah, this is all the sort of talking and brainstorming and stuff, the gist of it anyways, consolidated into here. The other stuff is specifically just the direction. This thing I still do have to work on. I do feel like this one is a little bit easier to work on if I can sort out like a bit of a system to view the 4,000, 5,000 stuff that is that I've downloaded from Twitter bookmarks, because I think the only proper way to go through and figure out what my direction is once again to go through 4,000 images and figure out which ones I like the most, and then figure out why I like them the most. But it is very, very tedious, and it would take like over 24 working hours, I imagine, to actually go through everything. And because there are not safe for work and stuff in there, I can't even do it on stream. So if we can come up with like a set of algorithm that sort of is able to break down each individual art and extract features out of it, and then group them based on the features, we can essentially programmatically group similar artists based on their style, based on the amount of textures there, the type of colors being used. We can group all of these in a way where I can just be like, oh, I like this artist, so there's a bunch of adjacent artists, do I like them as well? And if I like them, then maybe I can keep going, right? It's like a breadth first search where you just kind of just go into sort of this surrounding similar artists, and then at some point I'm gonna be like, yeah, I don't like this style as much as I thought, as I liked the previous ones before. So I'm kind of reaching the boundary of this island of sort of stuff that I like, right? And then if that's the case, I can see very clearly what the boundaries of the stuff that I like is, and what the center of this island would be. And that center of the island would thereby inherently imply that like that is the stuff I like the most, right? So I think it's kind of interesting, like if you can sort of play around with data in a way that helps you figure out this process. The only problem, of course, is the algorithms that are going to be doing this feature extraction, which is non-trivial. It's absolutely insanely hard, I would say. It's people's lives work in terms of computer vision, in terms of like feature extraction out of images. I would think it's probably not going to be very good, but either way, I think that is probably the correct way to go about it, which is what I'll probably try to work on. Right, so the Discord issue, I'm hoping that it's not going to basically be nuclear and just cripple everything in the thing. I don't think that would be the case. As much as like they seem suicidal right now with their business decisions, I don't think they truly want to destroy the platform overnight. So I don't think it would affect our operations too much, but we'll see. And of course, if it does cripple a lot of things, I will have to decide whether if it's fine to leave it crippled or I will have to find an alternative. Or yeah, but anyways, we'll see what happens when it does happen. We can't. There's not much we can do at this point, but look for alternatives, I would say. But yes, and then I think finally there's like another thing which is kind of important, is that this year we definitely do have to sort of work on idea generation. I think recently I have managed to sort of be a little bit more inspired, like, and feel some of the emotions that I used to feel, I think, in the past. Things that I thought were once lost is just barely out of reach. Like, I listened to a song, Last Night Goodnight by Miku, which was released in 2008, right? I didn't listen to it back in 2008, but I believe I listened to it back in 2011, 2012, right-ish. And for a split second, when I was listening to it over this weekend, for a split second, I saw my old self sitting in front of the computer. I smelled the same smell that I was smelling of my room. It's not a bad smell, by the way. It's just like wood and books. And for a split second, it felt as though I was that same person, sitting there, feeling what I was feeling back then. And that's kind of the emotions that I want to capture, as much as I can anyways. So why am I bringing this up is that I thought there's something that was lost, but it's not entirely lost yet, it would seem. And it seems like it might be recoverable. But one way or another, I think the only ways to sort of make it come out more is to go down this path of just trying to bring it out as much as possible. Just try to bring out the feelings that I used to do. And the way that I would do it would be to just listen to old music that I used to really like and try to think about what is it that I might have been feeling in the past. So that's, I think, is probably where original illustrations tend to, like, what I want to work on this year. Not just to work on art, but to work on that sort of connection, to work on that sort of inspiration and idea generation. I think that will be the main objective for this year. To reach a point where I can comfortably attach myself to a specific sort of line of emotion and thinking, and then draw art in that same direction. I think that would be a very, very, well, it is basically the core skill that is required if I want to do what I want to do. But in relation to that, I think there is a very important thing that needs to be separated, is that the mentality going into the work, I think, is especially important now. The more I do this, the more the mentality becomes super apparent, right? Art has a lot of technical aspects, but the mental part is just equally as important, if not more, because it frames everything. So for example, if I want to do original stuff, I need it to be very inspiration and vibe driven. It needs to be emotionally driven, because that is where the juicy stuff is. That is the whole point of it. That is the whole sort of crux of doing this thing, is for those emotions to be coming out, right? And that is where the personal voice and the reason for doing art and self-expression comes in. So original art should be more emotionally driven, more about the storytelling, more about the composition, and more about getting ideas across, and less about worrying about, like, hey, the anatomy looks a bit weird, hey, the hands look like not as elegant as it could be, or like the perspective might be a little bit wrong. Right, exactly. The virus, I think, yeah, it's really, I wouldn't really know how to help you, if I'm being honest, because I only have one data point, and for me, this data point has been with me throughout my life. I think it's always kind of been there, like, where I just listen to music and I just get zoned out. I just get destroyed. Like, I just, like, dissociate immediately from reality. And it's just taken this long for me to sort of articulate the ideas, articulate the thoughts, and be really clear about what is it that I think I should be doing. But the idea has always been there. So if you're mentally lost, it could mean a lot of things. It could be you haven't found that yet, or it could also mean that you're like me, where you always had something, but you haven't really figured out exactly, like, a clear pathway or stuff like that. Not that I have. We're still trying to figure it out. But yeah, I'm just gonna finish talking about this. But like, so original stuff should be more vibe-based, right? But studies needs to be very technically driven. It needs to be 100% technically driven. And it needs to be 100% on the stuff that you want to learn, and 0% on everything else, because it doesn't matter. And the mentality is very strong because it gives you the ability to say that, hey, I don't have to care if I'm tracing or not because I'm not working on shapes. I'm not working on observational skills for proportions. I'm just working on colors. I'm just gonna fucking trace right now. So that's important. And then goofing off is a very interesting thing because goofing off is kind of like original stuff, but it doesn't have to be sort of that emotionally driven. It just has to be stuff that looks good. So more of a surface level stuff. And rather than being too worried about anatomy and technical stuff as well, it is more of just a time limitation, right? Goofing off is just like playing games. You don't necessarily need to set goals for yourself to achieve in the game, to enjoy the game, but you do kind of want to set a time because you're playing games and not necessarily being the most productive. So I think this distinction should be pretty clear. It should be made very clear. I think every time we work on something, we should know whether if we're doing original studies or goofing off. That's it. That's the whole point of this structure here. So with all these sort of, I don't know, metadata, meta-cognitus, I don't really know what to call this, sort of more adjacent stuff, the framework behind it, we do still need the content. I still do like the content that is, who am I, where is this direction? Where am I supposed to head towards? So I do have to work on that still. I think that's probably the biggest thing at this point in time, other than the OBS related junk, but... Anyways, oh my god, anyways. So today the goal is kind of to just kind of wrap up on some of the stuff here. Friday is Valentine's, so I thought I wanted to draw like a Valentine stuff with Faye here. But I was trying to brainstorm some ideas and I don't really have any ideas. The middle one's a study, by the way. Yeah, but for the colors here, I do still have to find a sort of reference for render quality. So that would take a little bit of time. The other thing that I kind of want to briefly look into is just... I did pay money for Clip Studio 4.0. I should at least be aware of what the updates are, right? So... I'm just gonna ask, like, see if ChatGPT is able to sort of compile this for me. Because I don't want to go around looking for junk. Let's see. So while that's going, I'm going to go look for references. I think I should have logged into other important accounts on all my new stuff. My computer is absolutely empty, by the way. All the games and stuff I didn't bother reinstalling. I only reinstalled like Deep Rock Galactic and Arknights. That's basically it. Because I don't intend on playing the other ones anyways. If I need them, I just reinstall them again. But in the meantime, they're just gonna be gone. Oh, which is very nice. My computer is so empty. Oh man, I think all the more recent bookmarks that I made are a little bit too sort of hardcore art stuff. They don't have like necessarily very cute and simple renderings anymore. Oh, I can just fuck it and just ball, actually. I can just ball. Okay, ChatGPT says... So there's Puppet Warp. Yeah, I've heard of this, where you can pick the thing, add a mesh to it, and then you can warp it. Kind of cool. I don't know where that might be. Maybe transform. Yeah, there is Puppet Warp. Yeah, look at that. Pretty cool stuff. Whoa, 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 whoa. I can rotate it? How do you do this then? Alright, I have no idea how to use this properly, but it's here, I guess. What else do we got? We got improved filters and workflow. New filters like line extraction and lens like blur. Whoa. Filter, quick filter. Well, I don't know what that is. Lens blur, I suppose. Convert to lines and tones improvements, more capable conversion, and better settings and presets. Maybe that's for 3D into lines, maybe? I'm not sure. Object snapping when moving / transforming vector layers. Rules are... Okay. Selection improvements. Magnetic lasso. Oh, magnetic lasso. Yeah, look at that. Yeah, didn't Photoshop have this like for... like basically forever? How good is this though is the thing. Yeah, it can be a little bit janky, huh? Depends on where it locks to. Actually, why is it locking to right now? What is this? Oh, I wonder why it's not locking to the black line here. Surely the contrast between the pixels here and the white background is more apparent. Not to mention that there is this part here is literally no pixel. Anyways, we can figure that out some of the time. 3D features. Draw directly on 3D models. Yeah, that is kind of big. But you do have to have a good model, I suppose. Because now you're dependent on the model's proportions and shapes. More capable 3D figures and handling added in 3.0. Symmetry posing, more body adjustments. Yeah, if you can flip the pose from left to right and make sure things are symmetrical, that's pretty big. Broader 3D import support, normal math and other 3D. Layer comp-save, variations of layer visibility and export. What the hell does that mean? WebP export. Okay, time-lapse improvements. Watermark export. Actually, speaking of time-lapse, did they make it so that you can export time-lapse of higher quality? Every time it seems like it's only like what is it, like 720p in the past. What does this mean actually? 12. Let me just take a look what the output res is. It looks a bit pixelated, right? I think. Can't tell. Anyways, watermark export related options highlighted around 2.0. It is true. Well, my stream is a time lapse in the sense that like it records the process, you can speed it up, but it would be very jarring to watch, I imagine, once sped up like 20, 30, 40 times. Well, I mean, like, it is what it is. Might as well wrap this up. I still don't have a good reference for this. At the very least, it might be nice to get some colors going, but I guess we can just get a feel for it ourselves then. Setting Firefox as your add-on extension. Yeah, get out of here. Finish that up. Everything is so annoying now, like all the other apps. Sorry, what is this thing here? Timeline? Oh, timeline isn't turned on though, so why is there like this menu here? Huh. Oh, I guess it's just always here, huh? Was it always here? What is this? Oh, it's the downloaded material. Oh, I see, I see. My things got shifted a little bit here. Huh. Interesting. Anyways, the new computer is pretty good. Well, but pretty good, I mean like there's no issues. My standards are not necessarily very high. The main issue currently is that when the GPU fan starts spinning, it feels like my computer is gonna take off because it's so fucking loud. So it is an upgrade, but ironically, I think we can't even use too much of it without like being too noisy. So if the computer is placed somewhere else, or if I just improve the airflow and make sure things get like stay pretty cool or whatnot, then we can kind of use it still. Otherwise, it's a bit of a problem, I suppose. I'm gonna put on my jacket instead. Oh. How about this? I'm just gonna go through shit. Which one is it? Which board is it? One of these boards is the correct one. Oh, we can just browse some of the old stuff and see what we used to collect, I think. It's like the old one. Hello, Uni. Whoa, what? Yeah, nothing too special. I think I'm just gonna go with some basic ass colors. We just do light and shadow, no reflected light. I think simple. Maybe try to figure out the edges a bit, make it a little bit rougher, so that it's not flat. Mostly gonna be dealing with, I would say, hard edges, I was saying. Wait, hang on. Order of operations here. So also I'm on the wrong layer. I got so tired all of a sudden. Holy shit. Base layer should just be the plush maybe, and the hair perhaps. Oh. Does it? Wait, what am I doing? This goes over everything except for the stuffed animal. So red. Wait, no. Oh, the hair volume isn't as much as I am expecting. I feel like there should be stuff behind here visible. The volume of the hair is a little bit lacking, I think. Bing bing bong bong. And edit for 40 minutes, huh? Yeah, mostly just rambling. Wow. Why do I have two YouTube open? Right. This is part of the mentality thing. I think I'm getting a bit too stuck on getting clean lines again. That cannot happen because we get us stuck for not very good reasons. Oh wait, it doesn't count. Wait, what? Where's the locking button? Oh wait, what am I looking for there? Am I stupid? Holy shit. Alright. Oh. Oh. Ooh, excuse me. Holy shit. Sounds good, Uni. Oh, I have seen their art before. Why am I not following them? Is this a new account? No, it's not. It's joined 2015. What? And then the Discord. I have to go look for Dubai's daily threat every time. Over the weekends of 3 days of inactivity, just gets deleted. But reminds me of Alchemaniac almost, but a bit cleaner with the render, I would say. Oh, I see. Arknights is like what? Arknights is like the Fang, like the manga of anime games, I guess, right? Anime AAA title. It's like going to Google. The search shop? Closure? Are we talking about original Arknights? Closure is the like the mascot for like the shop, I think, right? The one that ChatGPT recommends me to use in Anvil. Wow, amazing. It's in the media page. Oh. They don't have a lot in the media page. Second to last. Oh, not NPC. Oh, do you mean like in the rotation right now? In which case I have no idea. They do swap it out, right? I think, like the characters. Oh, permanent ones. Wow, look at that. I know nothing about the game anymore. GG. Oh, that's interesting because I feel like if they're permanent, I probably would have gotten them by now. Maybe that's also why I don't remember them. I just got them and forgot about it. But I see a lot of lines everywhere. Like, it's always something to add detail, to add a bit more sort of visual interest. Oh. A lot of yeah, a lot of textures everywhere. Not necessarily by value. The Miku figure? No, I haven't been active in Discord. Miku Miku. Wait, I don't have a unread. I must have. Oh, is it this one? The one, it's not one that you own, is it? You're talking about the one that Saito Naoki created, like designed? I think this one, I have seen this one. Oh, I see, I see. Does it actually hold your tablet pen? Does the pen come with the thing? Somehow. Oh, that's unfortunate. That's a missed opportunity. It lights up RGB. I see. It'd be kind of cool, I guess, if you have like one that holds your tablet pen. But I guess if it's on your desk, you kind of have to clean it pretty frequently. You gotta dust it off. Everything gets so dusty. So like a lot of these sort of ornamental stuff is meant to break up all the shapes. Yeah, the lines, yeah, the stroking here too. I guess they kind of like that sort of effect for like fur and stuff. Not necessarily a short strokes, but like slightly longer ones. There are some shorter ones here, but there's some long sort of patterns in there. And then there's like the short ones. I do kind of like it. But also not 100% at the same time. I think I kind of have a rough idea of what I've been saying this for so long, so but I still think I want something where the shapes themselves are kind of clean inside, and then the edges are maybe a little bit more rough. That's kind of what I want to try today, perhaps. Yeah. Texturing, huh? We do have an opportunity to do some texture here. Then I guess the clothing can be a bit different. Right, yeah. Anyways, thank you, Uni. Oh, shit, what is the thing? All my tabs and stuff are all in different spots now. It's a bit confusing. Yeah, it's either missing a lot of hair or I have to do that. Hmm. Oh, what did it- Oh, Deemer. Yes, it's got legs too. It's like a cat. Shark cat. Indeed, she is. It's not like I wanted her to be naked or anything. I just didn't draw clothes. Oh, target is top? Right. What's that? There. Right here. Let's just go full, I think. Around there. I'll be right back. Oh. No. What the hell is this? What? What is this? Oh, god damn it. It's on the wrong layer. Of course it is. Hello. Sharaf Chandra, 4376. God damn it. Why is this here? I'll put this here. Right, depends on the main thing, right? If they're side by side, it means. Yeah, deal with it. It's gonna clash if both of them are saturated. Something must take over here. I think I'll keep the hair saturated. Soft light is a bit too light, I think. What's it on, supposed to be on soft light or hard light? Maybe it should be on a hard light, but with its own colors. Yeah, it's not very. What about bass? don't have enough capacity for this to work, I think. Oh, right. Forgot. Hmm. Guess I kind of messed up on the eyes here. I shouldn't have used the black. But then- Hello, George. Yeah, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm how do I say this? I'm just kind of letting things come out. Whatever that I think I want to do now, I'm just gonna do it. Uh, Also, I'm going back to cell shading just because I didn't want to deal with painting related complications. Well, okay, let me rephrase it. I'm going back to cell shading because I don't intend on putting a bunch of colors. Uh, that's probably the correct answer, the actual answer. That's why we're doing this like this. I'm trying to use this square brush too because it's got this really crisp, well, this jagged edge. I'm hoping it will help with adding some textures later, perhaps. Perhaps. The only thing I kind of like is the structure here. It's got enough like variations, but the shapes are still kind of big. Whereas like over here, it's a bit too messy. I'm gonna group some shapes here, and also this one I just don't like the shapes. I think the form is implying is not correct. But otherwise, so far everything is kind of interesting. Things are moving along. That's fine here. The colors is the main challenge though, that being said. The shapes you can kind of permute and just try a bunch of stuff. Color is kind of hard to permute. Too many dimensions. As always. Right. I just realized she's this is like a doll, right? How small is that clothing here? Someone, I guess it's custom made clothing for the dolls and stuff. Very well. Very well. Long pool. Colors are definitely kind of annoying, I think. Colors is like a frame of mind thing, it almost feels like. Depending on how I think about it, I can just make it work in my head. Unless it's super duper atrocious. But most of the time you're kind of like I'm kind of trying to figure out like the different nuance between slightly more, slightly less saturated and stuff like that. And they all seem like they could work. Like this was meant to be a placeholder color, just have enough contrast for me to see the shapes, and then now it's just like it looks fine now. It's not what I want, I don't think. Let's fix. Wow, I do have the tune with this in mind, do I not? Very well. So it shall be. I think blue base color into purple shadow is kind of nice, but we already have purple this time around. Because the one we did for Ria before was kind of nice. Red into purple, blue into purple, everything into purple. Actually, the hair is also into purple. God damn. But now we already have purple. Now what? Stay blue, maybe? Purple, purple. Move her over. Do I have a color reference here? I don't know. Very well. No, it's erasure. Right. doing anything. Right, it's not a fall to the ground, it's just like it falls flat on the table. It's not that far. It survived worse for sure. Mm-hmm. Maybe a similar pool, I think. Yeah, it's an overlay layer on top. I don't think this is entirely like at the bottom here. At the very top, there's just an overlay of airbrush on it. Yeah, it goes on top of everything. By the way, it needs to be on top of the lines as well if you want it to glow. It basically goes on top of everything and it adds a consistent layer of brightness across everything, which is what makes it look like it's glowing. It does mess with your color a little bit though. Sometimes you have to put in the glow and then go back and then lower your skin a little bit more because it might be too bright. Yeah, it's one of those things that ups the quality by a lot all of a sudden when you put it in because it brings everything together. I always try to put glow nowadays whenever I can. Well, I should remember it, but if I remember it. I don't know how to feel about this image because it is kind of... I don't know, yeah, like... First of all, there's like two very big groups of saturated colors, right? And they're very similar. So there's no real contrast on their side. And because of that. And I feel like one of them should be the main theme here. And the other one should be faded out. I think logically the clothing should be the main theme just because it is the more unique thing. But at the same time, it's kind of hard to lower the saturation of the hair, I think. Also the contrast between like some of the... Like even the darker shadow on the hair is nowhere close to like the base color of the tail, it feels like. And that contrast feels a little weird. It's just like kind of things are... No, it doesn't feel very cohesive, I think is what I'm trying to say. Is that what I'm saying? Even ignoring like not rendering reflect the light and that kind of stuff. I don't want to brighten the gray parts too much because that is kind of how it should be, right? It's kind of dark. That contrast just makes everything feel a little bit weird. And then the lines don't feel like they have enough present. Like, I feel like maybe the legs here... Si, senor. Maybe it's a bit better this way. On fire. Try some other tricks on top, I think. Right, that's not how you do it. I think this is you screen and you see clothes. Yeah, like some silhouetting problem maybe. Yeah, okay, maybe it's stuff like that, huh? Maybe like for example, the side of the character isn't okay, let me just do this because it's easier to see it than for me to talk about it. But where is it? Here, right? This is probably not how to do it, right? But like if there's stuff like this where it pops the body out away from the hair in the back, maybe it's better. It's more readable. The clothing and the skin has like that crazy amount of contrast between, I guess, the colors or something. Oh, right, because it's goddamn. Anyways, I was about to say like there's this mentality thing, I think, because like right now, right, how I'm feeling is that it feels like it's not right. Something's not right, but I don't know what specifically. I think it is possible. In all likelihood, there is probably something that isn't right, maybe from a technical point of view. But at the same time, right, if my mentality is to just do whatever, just kind of goof off and just paint, then whatever I get is whatever I get. I get to a point where I just unsure anymore, and then I just let it go. I just move on to the next piece. And then I let myself do a lot, and then we try to collect information that way across many different pieces. I think that's also a valid way to learn. It's just that there's always this desire to sort of make sure that it's good, to make it as to make it not just like to lock onto something that we know is already good. For example, like if I see someone else's colors, same hair color, same clothing color, and I like the colors, then I know it's good because someone else did it. Which isn't necessarily justification, by the way. It's just that the way I perceive things would be like someone else who did it, someone else posted it, therefore it is. It's an established sort of island of stability. Just at least not make it look awkward looking. Yeah. It's kind of a bit of a conflict, right? On one hand, right, I can just kind of be like, yep, this is what I'm gonna do now, I guess. Like, I don't really know what to do anymore. It looks kind of okay, I guess. And then we can just move on. On one hand, we can do that. It will make things a lot easier to do. And we can make more things happen, and we can learn things potentially that way. But then on the other hand, if I don't sort of try to push the limit, I'll try to resolve all these sort of weird feelings, right? Like things that are not right, the feeling that is not right. I don't try to get to the bottom of it, then I also wouldn't. I also feel like I might not improve because I would just kind of go around the same spot without ever figuring out why, potentially. I mean, the chance of getting completely stuck is rather unlikely because we will be doing more studies. This is more of just a one-off thing. Well, I say that, right? But we've kind of been here doing like some goofying off stuff like this quite a few times. And I don't feel like I've been really making any progress in that regard. Either way though, anyways, maybe thinking about this in and of itself is not very good, because what I'm saying is I'm trying to find a more efficient way to do things, right? I'm trying to find a way that helps me learn faster, but maybe there is no such way too, so I don't know. I think it's kind of interesting that if we push it out like this, is, well, okay, even if that's the case, what is a good way of pushing it out, right? Yeah, the biggest problem here is definitely this blue-purple setup. I don't know how to handle it well, I think is the problem. Oh, I guess if it's super dark, you also kind of contrast against the front. Actually, what values are we dealing with in the front here? Right smack in the middle, somewhat. Well, not really. This is kind of right. Right, it's relative to that sequence over there. It's not necessary. That's not what I had in mind when I did it. If that's what you're asking about, it does kind of look like it now, right? I also pointed it out, I think, before. I didn't see it that way until like we were finishing the sketches over here. That wasn't the intention, but it is kind of how it ended up. The intention was just to make it more what's the word? Look more squishy. That's about it. I guess every squishy things kind of look like butts. Honestly, if you just cut like this area out, right, it might be construed as butt. The top line might not be curved enough. This part might not be curved enough, but it kind of looked like an ass with like 2 legs, huh? I think technically this is not right, based on the form that I want. Anyways, I guess this is the color for now, and I'll see how I feel about it tomorrow. The current setup is flexible in that I don't really have to care about what colors I'm using. We're now only doing one layer, one color. Wait, no. Actually, as I'm saying this, I realized that it's not necessarily about one layer, one color. It's more like one layer, one specific set of shapes. I think it's probably a better way of putting it. And because the set of shapes tend to be using the same color, that's why it kind of seemed like one layer, one color. Anyways, yeah, we have the base color layer, then we have the shadow shape layer, and then there's a gradient layer that locks onto the shadow shape only. So the base color and the shadow color can have their own set of shadows, gradients and stuff. But we can still change the shapes without affecting the gradient later. So it should allow us maximum flexibility. So we can, what I'm trying to say is we can technically, I can just kind of paint the, because I want to practice the edges, right? With a little bit more rougher textures and stuff. I could just do that, because it doesn't affect anything. But while we're on it, I might as well finish the colors here real quick. No, it's okay. I don't think mixing language like that is cringe. I do that a lot with... You might have also noticed I use a lot of weird accents sometimes on specific words. Broski. Yum, yum, yum. This side is kind of cold, so maybe I'll go with something warmer on this side. Try a different set of colors, perhaps. Does this even have any set? It does have saturation. Wait a second. Yeah, look at that. Not gonna be that bright. Maybe it's the contrast that's right now. Everything is throwing me off actually. I don't know. She's missing like a lot of hair. I'm wondering if I should do. Oh, I didn't even finish this part. Should probably go ahead and finish drawing all the hair out. The back and then the front. Come on. Might be easier if I do this. Do the tuning together. Oh, more. It's just because it's on soft light, right? Yeah, okay. Wait, what? Oh. Oh, wait a second. Oh no, it's all the way over there. Ah. But I forgot to draw this. I should drop some dollar bills to get some commissions done actually. I would like to see how other people will tackle the colors. Because there is this inherent clash. Well, not necessarily. I think if she's just by herself, like naked like this, there is no real issue. I feel like it's kind of okay. The contrast setup is pretty strong, I think, but I don't think it's a big issue. But if like the clothing here, I really don't like this somehow. It feels too saturated. But I'm willing to sort of drop the saturation on either one of them. Pay some dollar bills to see what other people would do with the colors, I think. SD, right? SD. Ah, right. This one is a bit harder to change. Ah, that's fine. Spend a bit more time. Alright, see you later, Sheriff. Yeah, we need people who specialize in the what's that called? The cell shading kind, and not just cell shading, but also dealing with like more sort of colorful colors. Either it's like pastel, or okay, hang on. There's only one artist that came to mind, but like they're very special in their own league is the thing. It's not necessarily like this is not necessarily what I was thinking of per se, but for example, if they have very unique ways of dealing with colors, right? Stuff like this, where it gets super psychedelic and stuff. I'm just curious how they would handle everything and what colors they might use. But this is a little bit too extreme of an example. I mean, I think it would still be very interesting. It'd be great if we can do it. Actually, do they have the... Let's see if the scab is open. Actually, am I logged in on Pixif right now? Oh, I haven't logged in a bit. They are seeking the thing. It's like $250 though. But I think it's worth it if you can get some new data points. This one, okay, to be fair, I don't really know if we can really use it. I think what might happen is that if we get like a commission done, we can see what colors were being chosen and maybe try to use similar colors to add in some more accents here and there. That could be possible, but I think the nature of it all is just a little bit too psychedelic. I think it's too hard to use. But yeah, something like this I think would be oh, dang it. I feel like currently a lot of things are kind of stuck behind me not doing the whatchamacallit, the collection of artists and the styles and direction that we want to head towards. Quite a few things are kind of stuck behind that, I feel like. At least mentally. I think physically we can still just continue to work on colors. Different lighting situation, different colors, like what we were doing before. I'm gonna drop the psychedelic stuff. For a little bit more control. Yeah, of course, George. Yummy, yummy. I should not say that while I'm drawing the butt. Okay, holy shit. That was not what I meant. Oh yeah, of course. That's the whole point, right? I think currently you're a little bit distracted. So Faye is the only one of the 4 characters that kind of only exists as art. The other characters, they exist in one way or the other. So there is why I'm saying this is because there is no sort of urgency for Ria to some extent. I'm kind of keeping her rating for like forever now, but like at the same time, it's like I don't feel like a huge urgency to try to push Ria stuff out now, because we are kind of working on the same thing. As long as we get more skills and more established and more stabilized, things can happen really quickly. We're still working towards the same goal. But yeah, for sure, in the future, 100%. That's the whole point of everyone's existence, basically. Yeah. I think order of priority is definitely go through the list of artists, which is going to take a long time though. I don't really know how to sort of plan for that. That was definitely number 1 though. Besides that, I think the website should go out ASAP as well, because we've kind of collected a lot of things now, right, across the streams. Just not just art, but like also like pieces of knowledge that I kind of want to jot down somewhere. Well, I do have it written down somewhere, but it'd be nice to have a consolidated place. So if I can get the website out, I can put the art up there. I don't have to rely on I don't know, Twitter and their stupid ass privacy policy and whatnot in terms of use. But yeah, website maintenance is one thing. Dollar bills is one thing. Website design. There's the programmatic design, the coding part, and then there's also the layout. I think the layout I'm just gonna ignore it for now. Eventually we're gonna have to upgrade it anyways. It just need to be usable. There will be no user logins. There will be no forums. There'll be no storage of data from user side, so it should be pretty quick, right? Just a website that serves data. That's it. Pictures. Pictures. We do the old trick. In the past, like when we make websites, you know, design is always a pain in the ass. CSS is a huge pain in the ass, by the way. I don't know if you guys, how many people have worked on websites before, but CSS is a huge pain in the ass because stuff like aligning a div, right? Let's say, you know, like Pinterest, right? How Pinterest works, where the images come out, but they're not of the same proportions and aspect ratios, but they kind of still lined up in a grid. Stuff like that. I mean, nowadays there are established ways of doing it. If you know it, it's not that hard. If you don't know it and you're trying to figure out for yourself, it can be really tricky. Not to mention, you have to account for the fact that not everyone access your website from the same type of device, right? Phones have a very long aspect ratio. Computers have a very wide aspect ratio. Different sized monitors. There are a lot of people out there still using 4:3 ratio monitors instead of 16:9. Not to mention there's the widescreen, ultra widescreen. There's a lot of things you have to consider. And in order for a website to be really to be done really well, the code needs to accommodate for all of these. So like if you look at a lot of those big websites, like I don't like, but I want to say YouTube, Gmail, stuff like that, but they have their own app. It's the thing. Which is a big reason why they have their own app, by the way. It's just because there's a lot of complications when it comes to aspect ratio, so it's just easier to just make an app for it. There are also like ways to compile the same sort of code, into different device for different devices, I believe. I think Flutter was the one that was iOS and Android, cross iOS and Android, or something. I can't remember, but if I do make a website, it would just basically be for desktop. That's it. Because like I don't have the skills to make it good for cross platforms and stuff like that. I will probably ask ChatGPT on how to deal with it for sure, right? But I'm preparing for it to suck. It's and drag and draw, something like that. I've never tried. Oh, I see. Yeah, all of those things you kind of have to program in. Yeah. There's a problem with that idea though. No, that is the correct way of thinking about it, right? Make it exist first and then fix it later. However, programming wise, it can get a bit tricky because your design needs to be solid. Your design needs to be maintainable. Your design needs to be flexible for future expansions and stuff. Otherwise, it's a rewrite from zero. A lot of the times, like the Discord bot is a good example. I originally made it without too much design. I was thinking of like sort of some things. I was trying to account for something, right? But if you don't have the experience and you're trying to come up with something complex like that, you will always fail. You will always fail to sort of accommodate for something. And then later on, you have to come back and refactor. And that takes a lot of time, is the thing. If that was the only thing we were doing, that would have been fine. But it's not. So I wish I can bring people on, but I also don't really know what that would look like. And opening up more communication and collaboration is kind of, for lack of a better word, you know, tiresome. You have to communicate ideas. You have to validate that they're doing what you want them to do. Yeah. But all of these things will take attention away from art, you see. Every single thing is going to work against the goal here. Right, George. I mean, that is the best case scenario, right? But you will have to find people. You will have to give them some, you come up with some project. By the way, also you have to pay money, right? You have to pay out of your pocket to do this too. And then see if they're, well, quote unquote, good enough. If the quality of work is good enough. And then do the real deal. And that's no guarantee that they can still, you know, necessarily do the real deal, I suppose. Too. A lot of communication, a lot of money that has to exchange hands. A lot of complex maneuvers, I think. Oh, this is not so much art. This is more of a programming thing. And then, yeah, if we can do something like that, that would be cool. To get some stuff set up. A website, huh? I should do it by myself, right? Colors don't really work right now. 3. Yeah. Waterfall. I mean, yeah, for us, we wouldn't really. Yeah. I think. I don't really think too much in terms of those kind of philosophies, like those methodologies, because well, for the most part, I'm a single person, right? So I think whatever that I do is probably more just agile. Things are just gonna come out pretty quick, I would imagine. I don't know. Yeah, there's not much point in thinking about that, I feel like, because it's just it doesn't really matter. Just get things done, bro. Kind of vibe. It's not too loud, is it? Oh, it's interesting. I need to be careful with the with all the programming stuff. It can be very powerful, but then if you do them wrong, you're just basically inviting for more trouble, because you're just giving yourself more work in the future. It can get a little bit annoying, I think. I need to figure out what colors I want here. Right, I didn't push because of that. I think now it's probably fine. A lot of stuff to do. Oh my god. So many things. Yeah, I need to consider architecture again. Have to maintain it. Uploading new things. Expanding code. Probably need a GitHub for this. I have to install Git on my computer. Find an IDE. It's like I'm like the first day of work. I'm trying to figure out all the freaking technologies to use. Yeah, I think I'll continue tomorrow. I need to go have a conversation. Decide, think about the structure. Gotta deal with more stuff. Yay. Anyways, thank you guys for coming. I feel like that too much today. Like without having like an established sort of coloring palette and workflow and stuff, it doesn't really feel like I'm making progress, right? You're just kind of trying new things, which can be construed as progress, but at the end of the day, there's not much to show for unless you figure it out. That's how I feel about it. But either way, thank you guys for coming. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Hopefully I can sort this out. And then maybe we can work on a piece for Valentine or something. Valentine's what, Friday? How do you open calendar on the new Windows 11, dude? Holy shit. Oh, it's over here. Oh, it's Saturday. Okay. Possible, maybe? But yeah, thank you guys for coming. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Have a good night, guys. Goodbye.